it's time for a new episode of the Opening School, and this week we will analyze a new variation. Previously we had been analyzing the Queen's Gambit, and in this week's episode we will keep to White's first move d4, but we will analyze another first move for Black. Instead of d5, we will see what happens after Black's knight to f6.
This move is a very popular first move for Black, and it allows a lot of different alternative continuations. Black can here choose whether to play a more stable game by playing d5 as his next move, or a more tactical game by playing c5.
These two possibilities for Black are far from the only ones available. Black can among others choose to play g6, e6 and even e5 against White's second move c4 in this position. White doesn't have to play c4 in this position, but it is the most popular continuation from here, and it is also a move which White has to play in order that we can enter the analysis of this week, and that is the King's Indian.
This variation is one of the more aggressive options against White's first move d4, and it has been played by grandmasters and world champions alike. Very simply said, the variation will continue with Black attacking on the king's side, where the White king will be, while White will attack on the queen side in turn, where Black has a quite weak defense. And the games often end with either White breaking through on the queen side, crushing Black by having a far better position, or by Black checkmating White.
Well, the King's Indian often leads to quite a bloodbath on the board, and it is often happens that the game can turn after the slightest mistake. Black does here continue his development by playing g6, and White answers by playing knight to c3 in turn, after which bishop to g7 and e4 is played. Alfred, doesn't Black have somewhat an inferior center position in comparison to White?
Well, that is true. White has advanced 3 of his central pawns, and it's even possible for White to advance with the f-pawn without Black being able to stop him. But the lacking presence in the center isn't that great of a disadvantage. Black manages quite well here actually. You just have to be careful not to forget to play d6 in this position, since White otherwise will be able to play e5 and threaten the knight.
White has a lot of moves to choose between: knight to f3, bishop to e2, f3, h3 and f4. All these moves are possible to play and all have their merits, but knight to c3 is without a doubt the most popular move in this position, and Black does now play castle kingside.
White plays bishop to e2 and Black answers with e5. It's important to know what happens after d takes on e5 in this position, because it looks as if Black will lose a pawn, and if Black doesn't play properly, he'll end up with material disadvantage.
Black does in this position recapture on e5 with the pawn, and White exchanges the queens on d8. After the queen exchange, we are 8 moves into the game, and we are practically already in the end game stage. One might believe that the knight takes on e5 would be the best option for White, but after that Black takes on e4 with the knight, and after White recaptures, Black takes on e5 with the bishop, leading to a position where Black has the more active pieces.
White does have somewhat better move than e5, namely bishop to g5, with threatened knight to d5, which in turn threatens both the knight on f6 and the pawn on c7. Black has to be careful, and the best continuation for Black is rook to e8, something which takes the rook out of the pin simultaneously as it protects the c-pawn on e5.
The position is very stable, and even though there has been a queen exchange and the game is in the endgame phase, much can still happen. But with that, we end our analysis of the King's Indian. We'll be back again next week with more on this variation, so see you then.